So got another video, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about John Ramsey, and I'm pulling from the Reddit forum. As you can see, our JonBenet Reddit forum has got about like 90,000 something odd people in here who are doing what we are doing here, just kind of discussing this case from various angles. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who have engaged with me, watched my videos, sort of sharpen me in the comments and stuff like that, and subscribe to the channel. I just went over 1,000 subscribers. I want to say specifically thank you to Jan Nevik 4253, which was my 1,000th subscriber, and each and every one of you were equally as important in getting me to this milestone. Huge milestone for me, and all I can think about is just the engagement that I've enjoyed, that I've appreciated, that I love this entire time. So thank you for engaging, and just makes me want to kind of continue this work. We got more work to do. I'm hot on the trail of John. I want to know who John is. And so I came across a forum, and I don't know if this is it, but there was a forum about John and Access Graphics. And I don't know if this is it, but I'm just going to go through it anyway. But the forum was so good, and it was extensive, and it was just kind of going down the line about John. So let's kind of start here, because I wanted to know Access Graphics, Lockheed Martin, all of that. Who are these people? What does this have to do with JonBenet? What could this have to do with JonBenet? Why was it mentioned? Obviously, the most basic or simple explanation is that, it's just mentioned to throw people off the trail of the Ramsey family. Or if it was the intruder theory, then the intruder, was also maybe trying to throw the Ramseys off the trail, or they legitimately wanted money from the Ramseys, or somebody got jealous of John and was like, yo, I see you on the come up. You just made $1 billion. You talking about going to getting 2 billion. And I'm trying to get a little some of that money. So, first question that's presented here, or the question that is presented here, is what did John Ramsey's business, being Access Graphics, actually do? And so this question that's posed says, I read a lot about the business being acquired by Lockheed Martin, but what exactly was the business of Access Graphics? What computer services did they provide? Where did the graphics come in? The only information I've seen is they resold Sun and other computer systems. So were they just remarketers of hardware? And that's a good question, because Access Graphics, the first thing I think about when I think about Access Graphics, and you got to know that this comes from a very original or organic place when he's naming this business, because I think that John started this business, which is why he was, counted as the entrepreneur of the year in Boulder, for taking this business to $1 billion, and then looking forward to going for another billion. And I know you can't, tell what you're going to do from day to day. But I wonder how much he believed in this company, because, we just watched the video from True Crime Rocket Science, and he talked about this idea that he talked about the fact that John said he wanted to take the company he was looking forward to 2 billion at the company's holiday party. But John got out and sold the company he sold the company to Lockheed, and Lockheed kept him on. But then he was selling the company. Lockheed was going to sell the company to GE. And I think he went over $1 billion when he got under the umbrella of Lockheed. And going from Lockheed to GE, he was going to move from the president and CEO down to a consultant. So I wonder what the context was when he said that we're going to 2 billion. What was the context of that? Because if you're not going to be with the company and you know the nature of these things, these ideas, or the fact that you're going to step back, why would you say that we're going to go to 1 billion? You don't know what they're going to do. You don't care what they're going to do. But I guess what they want you to do is to instill a confidence in the business to all the rest of the employees. So that's very interesting. So trying to understand what exactly they mean by access graphics, and as I understand it, as we're approaching Y2K, the year 2000, as I understand it, looking back on it, we thought the world was going to end. As I look back on it, computers were huge. You remember the market, started crashing, the dot-com bubble, because of, all of these internet companies that were just really just shell companies that weren't real. And they were saying at that time, you could say anything and get investor funds. As they describe it, you can get investor funds to run your internet business that had nothing. It was just really a way to say, I have a website. What does the website do? Nothing. It's just the internet. Oh, well, we are holding up space on the internet, and so Access Graphics is like, why did you name it Access Graphics? Because that sounds like a game that you would play on a floppy disk or something like that. I'm with that, or like a paint program on MS-DOS or something like that. That's what that sounds like. But the graphic, I'm agreeing with the graphics. I'm like, where did the graphics come in? Because like you read and this is the salesman. This is the salesman tendency in John, because graphics would mean that you're going to show me something, like you're going to, make some graphic, show me a graph, a chart or something like that, or you're going to digitize something. But it doesn't seem that John did any of that here. Just like me just looking through this. So somebody comes back and says lots of chatter about whether it's Ghislaine Maxwell in a candid photo behind JonBenet in one of the last, not the last photos taken of her. Anyone checking into the John Ramsey's possible ties to government software like the CIA, the FBI, or military might use, or publishing newspapers, magazines, textbooks, trade divisions, law enforcement, or surveillance, looking for a possible tie. I see, because when we looked at the ransom note and it said we are a small foreign faction, we respect your business, but we don't respect the country that you do it for. And that's where I started trying to understand, like, what does that have to do? What is John's business? What kind of business is John in that might be important for this letter or ransom note writer to point out? Whether the ransom note writers were inside the house, and by that I mean the ransom note writers were the Ramseys, or if the ransom note writer was the intruder. Either way, and I know John was in the news for this stuff, as True Crime Rocket Science showed us. John was in the news for this holiday party and him going from 1 billion to 2, wanting to go to 2 billion and stuff like that. So the company was fairly well publicized, especially in the Boulder, Colorado area. So an intruder or whoever was around the area who was really seriously looking into John and the Ramsey family would have known something about this company. But why would the ransom note writer put this in here? And we talked about on previous videos, the letter was very John centric. Now, there may have been other letters that were thrown in the trash, but the draft that they actually went with, whoever this person was, directed it to John. Why? Why are we, as we're writing this letter, if we're thinking about the intruder who is doing drafts, they're drafting, and and at this point, I'm not dispelling any theories. I'm just talking through different theories. If we go with the intruder theory and we have this letter writer who is chilling in the house and he's like, hey, yo, I want to write to the Ramseys. You know what? I don't want to do that anymore. I want to write specifically to John because I want to dig more into John or focus more on John. You know, I'm already confused because of the money situation. We got that. You're not asking for enough money. So whoever wrote this, as an intruder in that respect, I call him a rookie because you're not asking for enough money. So either you're not aware of how much John is legitimately making, because you seem to know so much about the Ramseys that you can sneak up in their house and know their schedule, but you don't know anything. You don't know the right thing. You don't know the basic things about the Ramseys. If I'm gonna sneak in your house and know everything about you, I'm gonna be reading up everything about you. For example, and I say that because this is why I say that, and this is why I say when I talk about the intruder theory, this has to be the most expert rookie, because when I was working in the industry, and my boss had to go meet with board members, to talk to board members. She wanted to go in there and she wanted to find favor with the board members. She wanted to know who she was talking to. So guess what? Part of my job was, look, man, I went to school to go get a bachelor's degree and I'm working on my MBA and this, that, and the third. And, I'm scouring I want to build, dynamic financial models, and I'm scouring Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, to look people up, to see, what family member, like an ancestry list, to see what family member is connected with what other family member. And the point of me saying that is, before I start reminiscing on my days as an analyst, the point of me saying is that I had to do research on these people and I had to know as much as I could about these people. And when I would do that, I would go down rabbit holes, because I wanted my boss to be as prepared as possible, to walk in that room confident about who she was talking to, because she would study on the plane, who these people were. And so I would find the person, I would find the individual spouse, the grandkids, the kids, what schools they went to, what schools their kids went to, as much as I could, as much as was available, their LinkedIns, their emails. I would find everything that I could about this person. Do they have a dog? Do they have a cat? You know what I mean? Like, what restaurants do they like to frequent? I would have to do all of that and turn it over and report to my boss to say, hey, this is as much as I know about them. These people are this people. And, and by the way, the board switched. This is now the chairperson. Actually the chairperson now, she's moved over to Treasury, or she's gone, or they're, shifted over, or there's been a passing away of this individual, all such as that, right? I had to do all of that. So somebody who would be interested in the Ramseys would know everything there and would know everything there is to know about the Ramseys, and would be able to time their schedules and sneak into the house well enough to know that you're not going to be here and just chill in the house, right? And have as good enough of an understanding of what I'm doing in your house, would know how much money I need to be asking for. They would know the business. They would know the transfer of power from Ramsey to Lockheed to GE. And I say this to say, if John's business, because the way you frame the ransom note is important. What you ask for, instead of just saying, give me the money, I have your daughter, give me the money. You said, whoever it was, First of all, I your business is fine, but I don't like the country. I'm wondering, honestly, about the narcissism. Is there narcissism in the note being about John? From the intruder theory. Well, no. Let's back up. Let's back up. Let's back up. Let's go. Let's just stick with the intruder theory. If this is the intruder theory, then there was an obsession with John. Whoever this intruder was, they want to be John. Because you say Mr. Ramsey, it's basically writing as, if we're going with the intruder theory, I'm writing as, hey, John, you're the man of your house. I respect you as a man. But what I'm writing and I'm setting up as is I'm saying, you're so smart, businessman. You know everything, businessman. They would know, because you studied John at this point. You made $1 billion, businessman. And that was the tone at the end of the letter. John, don't be a smart guy. John, don't, use that brain, use that good Southern common sense, John. You're not the only fat cat in town. Well, there is something about the structure and the way and the use of words in that. First of all, we're a small foreign factions, bullcrap. No, you're not. If we're going with the intruder theory, no, you're not. But the way in which you're writing the note is to basically assert some sort of leverage or some sort of dominance mentally or intellectually over John is what you're trying to do. You're trying to assert some sort of intellectual dominance over John. Because now you're saying, I'm doing something in that I'm about to get away with. Right? So I'm about to get away with something, and I gotta write, and I gotta be clever with how I write it, though. I gotta watch myself with how I write. I don't want to give away too much. And so I want to send you off on a wild goose chase for a little bit, and let you know, hey, it's some small foreign faction over here, when it's really just a single intruder. But I gotta brag on myself a little bit, though, and tell you, you're not the only fat cat in town. But if the individual, because I think fat cat was a common term in those days, and I'm not familiar with the term attaché. Briefcase for me, but for other people, as you guys have mentioned, you guys are familiar with attaché. I think it's a high quality term. But if it's a high quality term, then this individual who wrote this letter as the intruder had to know something about high quality individuals, which would indicate that they're studying these high quality individuals, that they're in these circles having these conversations to use such language of high quality or high value, high elite individuals. And I'm not using value or anything in terms of individuals being better than others. I'm just in terms of monetary value. And so this individual would have had to have been in those circles. That would make more sense, because the letter could go two ways, right? It could be written from an intruder's perspective as antagonistic and wanting in a very parasocial way, I would say. Yeah, I just want to make sure I was using parasocial correctly. And so when they say parasocial is a term that describes a one-sided relationship between a person and someone they don't know personally. So the relationship is in your head. Now that fits the intruder theory, because Gary Oliver or John Mark Carr would have had that one-way relationship with the Ramsey family in as a whole. They would have had that one-way relationship with JonBenet, because JonBenet don't know these folks. let alone John or Pat.